What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily Channel. We're just a couple of weeks away from the start of the NBA regular season. That's right. We almost have NBA preseason games to react to. So get ready for some wild overreaction as we watch our starters play like 9 minutes a game, as we get ready for what I believe is October 22nd is going to be the Celtics' first game of the season against the Philadelphia 76ers. Will Joel Embiid play? Probably not. For being honest, probably not. We know they're already going to be without McCain. Paul George isn't going to be ready too. So, hey, maybe let's start the season with a W, huh? We get a fun one today. We're going to talk a little bit about some Celtics predictions that I found on some statistical predictions for the Beantown boys that I found on CelticsBlog.com. We're going to talk about Simons, who keeps saying the word defense. We're going to bop around the league a little bit and then get into your comments as we always do. But do me a favor, if it's your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Getting closer to 3K subs, and as promised, the second we get to 3,000 subs, we are going to be giving away a pair of Boston Celtics home game tickets. So get involved, whether it's subscribing, the chat, I don't know, do whatever you need to do. Let's boost that algo, baby. Boost that algo. And then more importantly, let's go Sox tonight, all right? Game 3, come on, finish it up. Let's do it. So let's do some statistical predictions. I want to shout out our guy here. I believe it was Trevor Haas. Trevor Haas over on the CelticsBlog.com gave us 10 different statistical predictions. Curious to hear the chat's response to this, how we feel about it. Let's get cooking. First is Peyton Pritchard, all right? Peyton Pritchard, he's saying is going to average 5+ assists per game this year. I like this one. I actually think this is a no-brainer, right? He averaged just under 4, I believe, last season. We know the ball's going to be in his hands a little bit more. I think he's going to be forced to be more of a facilitator this season. So I think PP is not going to have, I know people get uncomfortable when I say PP, but our guy Peyton Pritchard, I think, is going to have no problem getting over that number. Honestly, I'd be comfortable even saying higher. Say we get closer to 6 or 7. We've talked ad nauseum now at this point about the style, the pace of play that we're going to see the Boston Celtics play in this season. And if that's the case, that just means more dimes to go around all over the place. But again, I do think, especially for the starters, PP is going to be the ball in his hands, the ball bouncing around over 5 dimes a game. Book it. Let's do a little coffee sip for you ASMR freaks. All right, Jaylen Brown. Let's do JB next. Jaylen Brown will finish top 5 in league scoring. That's what he says. Easy to forget, he goes on. JB did average over 26 points per game in the 22-23 season. Over 22 last game, but we know no Tatum. You're taking so much usage off the floor. I mean, if you think about a top 5 in the league in scoring, let's figure out who those are going to be, right? Luka, we'll put Luka up there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, of course. Jokic usually doesn't lead the league in scoring, right? He's more of a full statistical fill it up, right? With like a 22, 14, and 14 or something crazy like that. Put Giannis Antetokounmpo on that list. But then after that, I mean, it wouldn't be the most wild thing. I actually was looking up the NBA MVP odds, right? And again, I'm not saying this is not financial advice. Don't go out there and throw some bets. But again, look at these. So MVP, they got SGA and Jokic leading the way. SGA's plus 250, Jokic plus 350. Then you have Luka right there plus 400. And then it's a pretty big jump to like Giannis at plus 1200, Wemby plus 1500. They got Jaylen Brown at plus 30,000. All right, 30,000 behind guys like Zion. Joel Embiid, Devin Booker, Anthony Davis, Steph Curry, Ja Morant. I don't think he's going to win MVP, all right? I don't. I think he's going to get some votes, though. And again, I keep going back to this idea that if this Celtics team overperforms and they finish, say, like top 4 in the East, it's going to be because Jaylen Brown had a historic season. It's the only way something like that happens is if he goes absolutely bonkers night in and night out until Tatum comes back in March. Am I right, boys? I don't know. I feel like he's going to – I like, top 5 in the league in scoring. I feel like there's a chance that he could finish like 5th or 6th in MVP voting. Because again, I don't think Donovan Mitchell is going to put up the counting stats to be up there. Brunson's an interesting name, but we've already seen Mike Brown say they're going to limit his minutes this year, and that just means limited in the sense of Tom Thibodeau. I bet we see more rest days for Brunson. I bet we see less 38-minute games from Brunson. So again, keep those names that we talked about, right? Luka will be up there, SGA, Jokic, Giannis, but that 5th spot could go to anybody. I think if I was a betting man, I'd say Wembanyama, but I like the Jaylen Brown take as well, too. I do think top 5 in the league in scoring. I don't think 30 points is crazy. I think more likely we see 27, 28 points per game, but I don't think 30's nuts. I think you could put it up there. Let's get to his third one. The Celtics won't lead the league in three-pointers made or attempted. He said last year the Celtics led the NBA in three-pointers made at just under 18 a game. They took just over 48 per game, but I wonder. He's saying that we're not going to see that this year. He said this season, while they'll still be near the top of both categories, they won't lead the league. And I wonder if that's a reaction. If Trevor's saying that's a reaction to how we flamed out in the postseason. I mean, listen, I've heard it from you in the chat all summer long that we shot the three ball too much. Like Missoula, that's the only thing he knows how to do is tell people to shoot the three. And we'll talk about it a little bit in the chat too. But like, does pace of play mean shooting threes? I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast. He had Michael Pena from The Ringer on, excuse me, talking about how I think they even said he thinks they're going to take like 63s per game. I'll take the under on that. I think they are still going to chuck a lot, but that's interesting to not think they're going to shoot the most. I wonder what the thought process on this is. This is one you are going to like. His fourth take, Anthony Simons. Anthony Simons will be the Celtics' second leading scorer. He said it could be Derek White or Pritchard, but I believe newcomer Anthony Simons will finish second on the team in scoring this season. Not a perfect player, but I don't think the majority of Celtics fans realize just how dynamic he is with the ball in his hands. He averaged 17 plus each of the past 4 seasons, including 22 2 years ago. I'm going to disagree with this one. I really do. I mean, I think we're going to like Derek White's going to take so many threes, man. I feel like you could see Derek White. Honestly, the take isn't bad because I think you're going to see White, Pritchard, and Simons all average somewhere between 17 and 19 points per game. I think they're all going to, or maybe 16 and 19. Well, let's drop it down a little bit. I think we're going to see a lot of those guys fill it up night in and night out. Again, this is going to be an offensive-focused team with the style of play. I don't think we're going to be seeing them defend at I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, curious what our thoughts on that are on that. Do we think Simons is the second leading scorer, or would you go with White? This is, speaking of Derek White, this is my favorite one. Derek White finishes top 30 in both steals and blocks. White has a chance to make an all-defense, this year, has a chance to make an all-defense team this year. Last year, he averaged just over 1 block per game, just under 1 steal a game, and was just outside the top 30 in both categories. I like that. I think White, again, if they're playing fast, that's like a chaotic style of basketball, you're going to see hands in passing lanes, and we already know he's probably the best, if not the best, top 3 guards that can protect the rim. I mean, how many times in big moments did Derek White make the big defensive play? This next take I don't think is too spicy. He says Namias Queta is going to play 20 minutes a night. Yeah, he is. Unless he's in foul trouble or gets hurt, that is what's going to happen because the front court depth is terrible. Only averaged 14 minutes per game, so that's a big jump, but I mean, the one concern I'd have with this one is Brad Stevens kind of giving us the shoulder shrug, being like, I don't know what the front court rotation is going to look like or what we got from whoever. So that's something we'll have to pay attention to. But I think Kate is going to be nice. 7th, he says Boston finishes in the bottom 10 rebounds per game. This is something that I've been banging the drum about all summer, right? We lost Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday, a decent rebounding guard. But more importantly, our leading rebounder, our best rebounder, Jason Tatum, not going to be playing for most of the season. Who the F is going to get boards on this team? I've been seeing a big campaign for Sam Hauser to start at the 4, which, like, you want to do that? You want to do that to stretch the floor, make it harder to defend? Sure, I'll have this conversation. But who the hell is he covering and who the hell is getting a rebound? Like Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown might be our second leading rebounder this year. What are we doing? But yeah, so I agree with this. Bottom 10 will for sure. Number 8, he said they have both a 5-game winning streak and a 5-game losing streak along the way. Yeah. We went over the schedule like a month or so ago, and there are some runs there the Celtics can have. I mean, the Eastern Conference is just so bad, it's so dog-do, watered down that any given night, any given Sunday, any given night, a Celtics team can go on a run. So I'm fine with that as well. All right, 2 more. Jason Tatum will play at least 1 game. Yeah, man, I can't believe I'm coming around on this. I still believe the Celtics have, I mean, he has to be 100% cleared with no concern, no even like slightest tidbit of a chance that he re-injures it, right? He has to be super duper freaking cleared but it does seem like that's the direction we're going. And then last but not least, he says the Celtics will finish a 44-38 record and get the 6th seed. I do. I mean, I do think they're finishing anywhere between 5 and 9. I think the big question marks, besides the ones that we've already talked about on this Celtics team, it's like, what are you getting from the Toronto Raptors? What are the Miami Heat going to do this year, right? They know they don't have Hero. Miami Heat, we'll talk about them in a second. Miami Heat's been speaking crazy, just absolute crazy the last couple of days to the media. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. All right, I just want to talk about Simons here for a second. Good Lord. I mean, there are so many different pieces coming out about Anthony Simons being this plus defender this year and how he's like finally in a situation where like they're prioritizing winning. And listen, it is easy to say the right things right now. I don't think he is going to become a good defender, but can he become a serviceable defender? In the same way that Peyton Pritchard, right? Like somebody I'm not going to be like, hey, let's put the clamps on and win all defensive team like what we were talking about with Derek White. But can you just not get smoked, right? Can you just not be a turnstile out there? The one thing I'll push back on, though, on all this discussion around Simons being this like plus defender, the Trailblazers were one of the best defensive teams the second half of the year. And they went out there and said, hey, we're okay getting rid of Simons, right? I think that had more to do with like Tumani Kamara, Donovan Clingan, the young guy, like really shored up the middle for them. They had like Jeremy Grant out there at times. I just like. So let me give you some stats here. Their main lineup with Clingan and Sharp starting the second half of the year settled in on a 109 defensive rating and won their 125 minutes by 7 points per 100 possessions. Simons, who had a 113 defensive rating for the season, posted a 109 in the second half. I mean, I'm always a big believer in just saying, like, defense is a team stat, and so if you're in a team that is able to move together as a unit while you're out there defending, bad defenders can be better defenders, but also if you're not doing that, great defenders can be bad defenders. I think the best example of this, DeJounte Murray, when he was on the San Antonio Spurs, was just an awesome defensive player. Night in and night out, was a ball hawk, came up a lot of steals, whatever, but was a good defender. But I think that's because the team, they were coached in a defensive manner. DeJounte goes to Atlanta and then turns into a pretty bad defender, but I think that had more to do with Atlanta just not playing any defense then. I do think it's a tone that needs to be set, and maybe if you have Derek White out there captaining the defensive ship and kind of getting guys in the right spots, then maybe Simons can be serviceable. But again, there's a lot of talk right now being like, Simons lockdown defender. I'm like, all right, let's see it happen in action first before everybody takes their Viagra pills. Let's bop around the league here just for a second. Restricted free agents off the table. Kuminga signed a couple-year deal there with the Golden State Warriors. Man, you want to talk about like just weird-ass vibes? Steve Kerr, Again, it's making me think like Tatum really did get a raw deal in the Olympics, when they didn't play him. Steve Kerr's just out there. He basically called Kuminga a beta. And I like Kerr. I'm a Kerr guy. I thought it was just crazy. He was like, well, we got Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry in here as alphas and Draymond Green, so I'm not really worried about Kuminga messing with the vibe. Okay, fine. Those are definitely alphas. Just real quick, can I run down your alpha list here for a second? Draymond Green punched a teammate. So, like, whatever you think about Jordan Poole, maybe you're not a Jordan Poole guy. I guess that's an alpha move. Also, a dick move, maybe, where you punch your teammate and then the team implodes from there on out. Like, I don't know. And then Jimmy Butler, who has tanked multiple teams. We've seen him in the Rondo thing in Chicago not work out. Then he goes to Minnesota. And remember the whole Rachel Nichols parlay that, like, he's just yelling at his teammates and then immediately does an interview saying he wants out. And then Miami, he was a mess. I mean, he took Miami to the finals twice. It was like the best player on a finals team. I'll give it to him. But it was a mess there down the stretch. Speaking of Miami, they had a bunch of guys just saying like they think they're a championship team right now. Let me run down this Miami roster. They have Tyler Hero, who's not going to be ready to go. They've got Andrew Wiggins, who's in constant trade talks with the Los Angeles Lakers. They just signed Nikola Jovic, not Jokic, but Jovic, to a $60 million deal over the next 4 years, which I like Jovic, but okay. They're starting Khalil Ware next to Bam Adebayo, we think. Norman Powell's there, Davion Mitchell. Like, I don't know. They sound like the Boston Celtics roster right now. So I'm not really scared of Miami. Quentin Grimes did not get extended there with Philly, basically just signed the qualifying offer. So Quentin Grimes is going to be an interesting name to watch next season. I don't know how Philly didn't come to a deal, mainly because the Sixers are going to be without McCain for a little bit. So Grimes is going to have to be an important part. And if he plays really well, which he has the incentive to play well because he's now playing for a new contract next season. I don't know. Grimes is going to be an interesting name to pay attention to, both if he makes it to free agency next season, but also if he gets traded mid-year. I think that's going to be a trade target for Quentin Grimes. So there's that. And then I don't know. The only other stuff, like the Clippers basically announced Bradley Beal was going to start for them. I was kind of surprised by that. I thought Bradley Beal was going to be a bench guy. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of it right now around the league. We're going to continue to monitor it as we get closer to preseason action starting. I think we get some like international preseason games coming, so that's exciting. But let's get into some of your comments from yesterday's video. Just a reminder, get involved in the chat, boys and girls. Get involved in the chat. It makes the show a little bit more fun. What did we have from people yesterday? We were talking about Pritchard, averaging over 5 assists this year. NBA update 8338 says Peyton Pritchard, all-star caliber player next season. I mean, again, I think like all of those things are going to be dependent on how the Celtics team does. Like, you can average 20 points a game and then only win, like 1/3 of your games. You're probably not going to make an all-star team. But if the Celtics are a competitive team, you're going to see Jaylen Brown in there for sure. But I do think one of Derek White, Anthony Simons, or Peyton Pritchard would have an outside shot if this Celtics team is competitive this year. Jeff M. is saying we're going to the lottery. That's the beauty of this season. I feel like it could be one extreme or the other. We could absolutely be watching ping pong balls in June next year, or we could be, probably not playing basketball in June, but we could be making a playoff run. John Doe, 7 seconds or less Suns only worked because they had Nash. Peyton Pritchard and White are not Nash. Totally agree about that. When we were talking about pace yesterday, though, the whole league has evolved in a way, right, where everybody's playing faster. I don't think the pace just means on the offensive end. I think, and we went back and forth on the chat in the comments on that, and I knew what he was saying, but I just wanted that bigger point, like just the idea of playing fast. Yes, that means like moving the ball up offensively, getting it into your sets a little bit earlier. I also think that means the way they play defense. I think they're going to be playing a more aggressive brand of defense just to try to create more variance. I think you're going to see a lot more like picking up full court and stuff like that. So I think pace works both ways there. We got Vicky says, love this idea of balls to the wall pace. Yeah, let's go. Sergeant Killer says, if we want Al back next year, he needs to be on a vet min and needs to be a third big man off the bench with 10 minutes minimum. He's too old and his shooting has fallen way off. I actually thought Al's shooting hasn't fallen that far off. I agree with you. I mean, I think if Al Horford's on your team this year or next year, he can't be playing back-to-backs. He can't be playing 30 nights a game. I mean, we saw whenever Al had 2 days off, 2 days of rest in between games during those early rounds of the playoff series, Al would give us a really good game. If he only had one night off, couldn't do it. So, yes, I agree. You can't be like you don't want Al starting, especially a year from now. I totally agree with that. D. Chiffy says, sounds like no huddle basketball. Let's run a little 2-minute offense, right? A little NFL 2-minute offense. All right, that's going to do it for us today. Listen, Sox tonight. Can we finish this? I'm in New York. I can't. It's too stressful. Okay, let's finish this off. Can we let the kid early pitch tonight? Can we let early pitch? Hand it off to another young kid, Tolley. Have Chapman come in. 1-0. See you in Toronto, right? Appreciate everybody tuning in today. Hit the subscribe before you get on out of here. We'll see you tomorrow. Happy Thursday, y'all.